Cards to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium and the Adventure Begins, located on 1488, right next to a big old movie theater. I'm Chaz Graves, and here with me today, Preston Laird and Mark Blair.
All right, thanks, Chaz, as always, for that introduction. I'm Mark here with Preston. This is Cards to Yards, where we talk about sports and sports cards. Preston, so we'll just cut right to the chase, as it were. Super Bowl 56.
Yeah,
it happened.
it did.
And people were already ready for Super Bowl 57. But that just shows you like the nature of the beast that is sports, where people want the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Except for baseball players and owners right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're just going to sit put. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So Super Bowl 56. What did you think? Because your upstart Bengals, like your sleeper pick.
They were there.
They were right there.
I mean, I thought we were looking at an overtime game, and unfortunately it didn't come to fruition. I mean, I wasn't really surprised by the outcome. I thought it was a tremendous game, close game, like every other playoff game, it seems like, this entire postseason. So super entertaining. I'm very happy for Matthew Stafford. Congrats on him and the Rams. What a run.
It really was, and the previous 6 playoff games were amazing. Like, yes. I don't think they could have asked for anything better. Do you think that it's going to affect the way they do overtime in the playoffs in the future?
Perhaps. I really would like them to adopt the college rules personally, because I think the college rules are excellent. Something incorporating the 2-point conversion, perhaps on the first drive, I think would help limit endless overtimes and such, but something along those lines where each team gets the ball in the same spot and has an opportunity to score. I think it's a much more fair format. So I would like to see it tweaked a little bit. It's pretty much been par for the course for so long. I mean, they've done a few changes as far as scoring versus a field goal versus a touchdown, but other than that, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a revamped overtime. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. I think maybe adopt soccer rules where instead of a sudden death, golden goal, it's just you have 10 minutes or maybe you have 2 10-minute halves. Mm-hmm. I understand they don't want to add time on one hand, but you're talking about pros and some guys that, are in their 30s and this might be their last chance in the playoffs period. And also you get to sell the overtime commercial dollars.
Yeah.
So why not extend it like a quarter or even maybe 20 minutes on the clock where you switch sides after 10? Like there's a coin toss.
Or 12-minute quarter, something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
But where you just play out the clock and then you don't have the controversy of, oh, well, this is such a shame that the other team didn't get the ball. Like if there was a kickoff return touchdown or something of that nature. But we'll get back to the big game in a moment. Why did they get the big game? Because there's tons of sports. Why is that the big game?
Man, the Super Bowl's always been the king of sports.
Yeah.
In this country, at least.
Yeah, and also I guess you can't say that about the World Series or the NBA Finals or the Stanley Cup because there's multiple games.
Exactly.
And again, that's why let's get a real playoff system here where you just like play it out and leave it all on the field. All right, so we started with the yards. Let's get back to the cards, and we'll go back to the yards. Industry news. If I had to say, there's a football out there that's going to go for several $100,000 by a guy who just threw it, you would probably guess that guy was Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
So his last touchdown ball is for sale. And what's funny about this, I'm sure, like, these guys are millionaires, right? But we also know from contract negotiations that they like money. So I just wonder if when they're holding something super valuable in their hands, if they're going, oh, this is like half a Bentley, or like 10 Mazdas, or whatever car you choose, but it's a lot. So one thing that Mike Evans does all the time, he catches the ball, he throws it in the stands.
Yeah.
That's cool. However, in their last playoff game, he caught the last touchdown pass that Tom Brady ever threw, and he threw it in the stands. Well, a lucky individual caught it, and now that ball will be auctioned by Leland's auction house.
Heck yeah.
And just for comparison, it's funny, last year, the first touchdown he ever threw which was to Terry Glenn, if you remember that name.
Yeah, of course, Terry was good.
$428,000.
Yeah.
So knowing that, because we like to guess and talk about all the memorabilia type stuff on Cards to Yards, knowing that his first touchdown, the Alpha goes for $428,000. What's the Omega go for?
You know, I think the market's a little bit stronger memorabilia-wise when it comes to Brady at this time than it was when his first ball went on the block. You know, I'm thinking my gut tells me about 1.2 is what I'm saying.
Ooh.
I think 1.2.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
That's about what those Jordan shoes went for, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking about GOAT versus GOAT, and I think that's a good estimate. I would say at least double, at least 800,000.
Yeah.
But the 800,000 to maybe the 1.2 million dollar range. But do you think Mike Evans regrets throwing that in the stands, or it's just second nature to him? So,
you know, in hindsight, maybe he does a little bit, but it's what he does.
and you can only collect so much memorabilia of yourself. So I wonder if Brady would like to have that ball, or if he just doesn't care. I'm guessing he doesn't care.
I don't know. If it were me, I'd still think that the sentimental value of the ball would mean a lot. If it were me, but you know, can't speak for Brady.
But also, he threw a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, he could just pretend that one of those other hundreds of balls that he probably has
Right.
Was that one. Because I don't think that he would know if you put 100 balls in front of him. Go name this touchdown. I don't think he could do that. Who knows, though?
Probably not.
Probably not. But so that'll be something to watch. Another first in auctions, $1 million soccer card.
Yeah.
And again, who would you guess was on that card?
I would have to guess Pele.
Yeah, and it was his rookie card. It was what used to be an obscure set. This is the 1958 Alifa Balaguer soccer card set. Very tiny, tobacco-esque cards. Here's what's impressive about this. You know, I already said it was 1958. This was a PSA 9.
That's incredible.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to check like the PSA pop and see if there's any 10s, but I doubt it.
There's
Because those cards, I mean, that's yeah.
We're talking
1958.
You know, over 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Over 60 years old for that card. But fitting, you know, and I think, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, the market's down. But they're saying that because they can't flip, you know, $2 Michael Jordan cards at PSA 10 for $100
Right.
anymore. But like you mentioned, with the auctions and the high-end memorabilia, I think that's actually up.
It's very robust right now.
And that's why a soccer card sold for $1 million. Now, that was to a private owner.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a... Which means if it was at like a high-end auction house, it might have gone for more.
Maybe.
But it was just sort of like a quick deal. But yeah, PSA 9, Pele rookie, over $1 million. That is
I wouldn't
crazy.
mind having that in my PC. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it makes you wonder, you know, what else is out there memorabilia-wise, because we are to a point now where everyone knows everything, and all these events have happened, and we'll just see who's next. I can't imagine someone gaining the status of Pele or Tom Brady or Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So
I can't either.
what would be the equivalent in football, do you think?
Outside of Brady?
I mean, just not, yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone.
Like anyone close to, or just memorabilia in general, because we've seen this go with like Joe DiMaggio jerseys and things like
Yeah.
that. Like what else is left in sport?
When
Maybe
when it comes to soccer, football, I mean, Pele defines the entire genre.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you say Pele, everyone knows who Pele is. I don't care if you've never kicked a soccer ball, if you've never seen a soccer match. You know who Pele is.
especially if you like Sylvester Stallone movies, and if you like Sylvester Stallone movies and you
Victory.
haven't seen Victory,
Yes.
go watch that movie. You know what's really random about that movie is there's one scene in there where they do a replay,
Yeah.
and that's the Pele bicycle kick on
course.
film.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen Victory,
Everybody knows
about
the
a
bicycle
ragtag group of POWs that has to win a soccer game against its captors.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But maybe like the stool that Newt Rockney stood on to give a speech. I just trying to think of like what other giant items have not been unearthed or uncovered, at this point. But it's a big market if you have the right thing, and if you have obviously now the ability to sell has to be at an all-time high.
Oh, yeah.
On a personal level, you have eBay, Facebook Marketplace, whatnot, and then on a more global level, you have these giant auction houses. So, all right, so when we glossed over the Super Bowl a second ago, we left out the most important part. So, halftime show, what did you think?
Fantastic, in my opinion. I mean, I kind of grew up in that generation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not like the biggest hip hop fan in the world, but I'm a fan of everyone that was on that stage. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Got my groove on a little bit, watching it with some friends. But it was a good time. I enjoyed the halftime show.
If Mary J. Blige has a rookie card, and she may, she might, because they did some obscure, music cards like Pro Set, I believe, did some in the 90s. I would invest in a PSA 10 on that. She
Absolutely.
was the MVP for me.
Yes, I loved it.
But it was crazy.
Yeah.
The set design was amazing.
It was.
You, of course, had Kendrick Lamar and 50 Cent, Eminem, Snoop Dogg. Martha Stewart was there, just in case you're curious, which further befuddles, like, what is that relationship?
I love it.
Whatever it is, it's awesome.
Yes, it is.
And then, of course, Eminem and then Dr. Dre headlining the whole thing. So I thought that was pretty incredible.
I loved it.
And then, commercial-wise, we have access to all this stuff on YouTube days later, so I thought there was some pretty good commercials. Was Peyton Manning, was that a record for the number of commercials a person's been in the Super Bowl? It was ridiculous.
He's known for that. He's a character. He translates well in film.
And then the nerd in me was very happy to see the Doctor Strange trailer, which is going to be insane. Okay, but back to the football part. Okay, so we know the Rams won 23-20. When I was watching this, there's a lot of crazy play calling in there. And obviously, you had the instance of the halfback pass on the Bengals side, where Mixon becomes only the 5th ever non-quarterback to throw a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That could have gone very, very wrong.
Yeah, it could have.
And then you had a lot of 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s that were not completed. And obviously, we've been talking for the last couple months about the Rams' defense.
Yeah.
Headlined, of course, by Aaron Donald. And
He was dominant.
He was dominant, but also exposes the fact that if you're the Bengals, you have to spend all 7 rounds of your draft picks on the offensive line, right?
Yes, absolutely, no doubt.
Like you have to.
Yeah, they've got so much offensive talent. One of the best quarterbacks in the game already after a year and a half on the field, basically. So, yeah, they need to invest in an offensive line. And first 3 rounds, I would be doing offensive lineman.
And who would have thought that watching Super Bowl 56 in 2022 would make me think of the Houston Texans in 2002?
Yeah.
But the reason I did is because Burrow was sacked like the 3rd most in history. And do you remember when Carr, I believe, was sacked like 80+ times?
Absolutely. Yep.
And we know how that worked out. I mean, it worked out for him in the long run because he was mostly undamaged and is a TV personality now, and he won a Super Bowl as a backup with the Giants.
That's true.
But as far as a franchise quarterback, you got to be really stressed right now if you're the Bengals, thinking long term with Burrow, especially now knowing that he was already playing on a sprained knee.
Yeah.
And then the couple hits he took, yikes.
He got crushed. But dude's tough as nails. So.
He is, but
it only lasts so long.
Yeah.
Ask Robert Griffin.
And knowing that you still have him and Chase under rookie contracts, you do have to think about that. But I say you got to go all in. The Rams they pulled like a Yankees Red Sox type of move where they just bought up a bunch of veterans through trades and just straight up deals,
which rarely works in the NFL. Of all the sports, you're least successful picking up free agents in the NFL. I don't know why that is. I think it's just because you've got so many moving parts on a professional football team that it's hard to incorporate new guys, mid-season and things of that nature. But they did it.
It really is, and it was going to be a failure if the Rams did not win because Sean McVay has been this coaching prodigy, still one of the younger coaches in the NFL. But it was most about, hey, I believe in Stafford. Let's get him in here. What do you think that does? Having Stafford win and win only in 1 year out of Detroit. How does that make the Lions organization look right now?
Like they've always looked. I mean, that organization's been a train wreck since I can remember watching professional football. You know, they cut short Barry Sanders' career by probably a good 4 or 5 years because he was tired of you know, the environment he was playing in. And then you got Megatron, who one of the greatest receivers of all time, who retired prematurely also because of the same franchise. So
Right.
I can't imagine. As horrible as it is being a Houston Texans fan, I think being a Detroit fan may be just a hair worse, other than being able to see your team, you know, play on Thanksgiving every year for some reason. But other than that, I mean, what do you have to cheer for?
It's kind of funny because, you know, everyone automatically wants to put Stafford in the Hall of Fame now because he's got the ring, and that kind of keeps a lot of guys out. I don't want to do that, but I would put him, okay, like he's a top 10 quarterback now.
I disagree. I think he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. He's got his offensive numbers are too great and too relevant in the grand scope of all the quarterbacks that have played the game, and then you add the Super Bowl on top of it. I'd be very surprised even if he retired next year that he doesn't make the Hall of Fame. So,
there's a possibility of that. I just think that when you look back on the Lions, it's like he was good enough to give them hope to be a 500 team every year.
he was. Yeah,
I kind of took a subtle shot, but you know, but that was from nothing to
with what
500.
With what he had to work with, I mean, I think he did about as good a job as he could have in Detroit.
But it would be interesting to see if you could reverse the quarterback. We can't do this, but if you could reverse the quarterbacks and put him on the Bengals, would the Bengals have gotten to the Super Bowl this year? Because that's how good people would think Joe Burrow is.
Yeah.
And then back to the Rams side, Aaron Donald was about to retire, and then during the parade yesterday, Sean McVay said, "Do you want to run it back?" He was like, "Okay." So I guess. I mean, like, obviously he's not the one paying for him to come back, but if you keep that team together again, do you think the Rams are likely to repeat or at least get back to the Super Bowl?
I think that they'll be the favorites for sure. Yeah, I mean, as long as they keep most of their moving parts and most of the defense is coming back, absolutely. I think they've got a really good shot at getting back there again.
And one guy that surprised everyone, mostly the Bengals defensive coordinator probably, was Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Such an unfortunate injury because, he's shaking off like the whole Browns debacle. He comes in, it just changes the game in the first and second quarter, and then just one of those freak injuries, man, where no one touched him and he just went down.
Yep, no contact injuries usually is not a good sign.
Yeah, and then Cooper Kupp picked up the slack, became Super Bowl MVP. What'd you think about that?
I thought it was a toss-up between him and Donald. There was a lot of controversy. Should he get it? Should Donald get it? Personally, I think it went to the right guy. I mean, Kupp had a phenomenal season. I mean, he's carried this team all year, and then he came through on the biggest stage and had the best game on the offensive side of the ball. So I think he deserved it. I agree with it.
I will say, though, at the end of the game, the way the last 6 playoff games have gone, the way the Bengals season has gone, and the way McPherson's been kicking the ball for the Bengals, you really thought Burrow was just going to march them down the field for at least a field goal, if not a go-ahead touchdown, and Aaron Donald shut that down.
Yeah, he did.
So maybe they could do either or defensive and offensive. Yeah. Because the nod always goes to the quarterback.
Yeah.
But in this case, Kupp's a super popular guy too. So, look, I'm sure they're happy. They were at Disneyland laughing and smiling together. So
I do like the idea
of be fine.
Of a defensive MVP as well. I don't see why they haven't incorporated that. So.
Well, it's just they get overlooked.
Yeah.
And you would have to do something just hyper dominant, like 5 sacks to if a quarterback threw 5 touchdowns and a defensive player got 5 sacks, I would vote for defense, but I don't think that's the way it goes.
No.
And so you mentioned the favorites. Bills, Chiefs, Rams, and Bengals are the top for Vegas odds.
Yeah.
I don't see the Bengals getting back unless they spend 4 first-rounders on 4 offensive linemen in 1 draft, which is impossible.
Yeah,
so.
I agree with you there. I think the Rams have a lot better shot at getting back than Cincinnati, for sure.
But I would say, as far as a hobby, Jamar Chase and Burrow have a bright future.
Absolutely.
Amongst collectors.
I mean,
they're already well liked. Speaking of a collection and well liked players, I I don't really know if either of these players are well liked anymore. But NBA trade deadline came and went.
Yeah.
Harden got swapped for Ben Simmons, and it's very clear that these two players at least are not liked by their previous teams.
Yes.
We went through a whole Harden thing, and it was amazing to have a star of that caliber. But near the end, he didn't get along with Chris Paul. He didn't get along with Westbrook. He didn't seem to really get along with anyone. You couldn't really read his emotion, which is great and bad because you couldn't really tell where his head was at most of the times. So when he goes to the Nets, I'm like, okay, well, that's just the state of the NBA. It's like the, three-headed monster. You got to have the big three on every team. The whole Kyrie thing with the, being unvaccinated so he can't play in home games in New York, which is under review by the NBA this week. That could change. But then you have Durant, who's having injury problems, and then Harden about 2 weeks ago, he's like, oh, now I'm injured.
Yeah, hamstring.
And Ben Simmons has been sitting out for the 76ers the entire season, so that's been a whole dramatic soap opera. Daryl Morey is now the GM of the 76ers. He was the GM that made the big Harden trade for the Rockets. So he finally gets his wish and brings in Harden. I'm sure. I just imagine Daryl Morey just in his room with a diary with like my top 5 player picks. So because that's when he was with the Rockets, it was like turn and burn,
yes.
like trade after trade after trade, and you couldn't put together a starting 5.
Well, to an extent, I think Daryl Morey is a mad scientist genius on some levels, and to be honest, I was sorry to see him go. He's made some crazy deals. Some of them have worked, some of them haven't. I mean, the Chris Paul pickup was, I think, phenomenal, and we should have won a title that year with Harden and Chris if he hadn't got injured. Now you're seeing him dominate the league, and he's playing extremely MVP level ball. It makes me sick because my gosh, if we would have had that Chris Paul that year, then the Rockets probably would have taken it home that year. But I've always been a Daryl Morey fan. He's kind of a hot button for some people. Some people love him, some people hate him. I kind of like him. So.
Absolutely. And the same thing with Harden. Some people love his style, some people don't. But I mean, when he's dropping 40 for your team, he's great. But then I don't know if he plays well with others to the point where they need him to. Yeah. I think Ben Simmons might have a better chance of fitting in with the Nets, but you got to see what happens with the Irving situation. You got to see how serious the Durant injury is, and then you got to see, number one, Ben Simmons is set out, almost a little over half a season. Yeah. And what is he going to be able to bring to the table? Especially, this is a guy who was called out by Doc Rivers to not be able to be a point guard. Now, that would be so interesting.
Yep, it's curious
if they met in the playoffs.
To see what it looks like on the court with both of them.
And then, of course, the media and the Lakers fans were upset that the Lakers didn't make a big deal. But how many more how many more Space Jam cameo people can you bring into a team? What are you? What are you doing with that organization?
Yeah.
And of course, locally, the Rockets traded Daniel Theis. So hanging on to Gordon, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, me too.
And then as far as the other big trade in the league, I say big because this guy has been injured for like the last 5 seasons, but Kristaps Porzingis was traded from the Mavs to Washington for Spencer Dinwiddie, and I was just thinking, man, that guy used to be such a hot name in the trading card hobby, Porzingis, because he was just one of those crazy hybrid players, just like Durant, but just never really was in sync with Luka, and mostly it's because he was injured the whole time.
Yep.
So it makes you wonder, how long will Luka Doncic be in Dallas, if they can't pair him up with a superstar. But
yep, I agree.
Another trade line has come and gone. Hopefully your team did well. I was always devastated when players I liked got traded. So
yes.
I'm just glad whatever happens with the Rockets the rest of the year, that's fine. I'm just kind of watching the rookies get better each game, and that's kind of all you can hope for.
That's right.
All we can hope for also is a Major League Baseball season. Some of the players were supposed to report on the day after Valentine's Day earlier this week. That has fallen through. This lockout's going like 80-something days as negotiation talks between MLBPA and owners just continue to stall out. Again, the date, opening day is March 29th. I don't see that happening.
Me either.
I hope it doesn't go much further than that. It's kind of widely known that players need about 30 days to get into shape so they're not out there looking terrible and injuring themselves.
Yep.
So that means I would say there's probably kind of an unstated deadline of March 1st. If it doesn't happen by then, the season's going to be delayed and they're going to have to do some funky schedule or
Yeah, I don't see it being stretched out too long. I'm actually a little surprised it hasn't been resolved at this time, but it doesn't come around too often that we have to witness something like this in baseball. I mean, it's been a long time. It's disappointing, but the overall fever of the hobby, I think, is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to make people foam at the mouth that much more. The longer that it gets drawn out, I think that there's still going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of speculation on players, and it's not really going to have a lot to do with the long-term effect on the hobby, I don't believe.
Speaking of long-term effect of the hobby, I saw that Juan Soto turned down an insane amount of money to re-sign. And he's like, no, I think it's best to test the market. Yeah. So you hope for guys like that this pans out, because I can guarantee you if we go through another 94 season situation, I think people will jump off the ship, and I don't think they will be foaming at the mouth at all. We live in a very gimme social media society.
Yep.
So
No.
I just don't think it's a good idea for them to go on strike. I don't think it would ever be that bad.
Yeah.
But there's probably so many things on the table now, because I would almost think like somewhere in those contracts, NFTs and things need to be discussed with all that.
Sure.
Especially from what they're really trying to do is up the minimum salary of players, and it's already sort of like put a bind on a lot of the AA, AAA organizations. They've had to cut back on all the farm teams because of the prospects, and you got to pay more and more and more. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
I was very excited for March 29th, and I would still hold out hope for that. I'm also very excited for the new Topps 2022 baseball. So let's start out the new and current release trading card discussion here on Cards to Yards. So go for it.
So we got 2022 Topps Series 1 coming out today. We're going to have it for sale in the shop. We've got the regular hobby boxes, and we've also got the jumbo HTA boxes. Autographs, lots of parallels. They're going to have a card that's similar to the downtown cards that are super popular in the other sports and basketball and football. So it's super exciting. Wander Franco's rookie card. It's going to be the hottest release that Topps has had, I think, in many, many years. I mean, the hype around this kid is just through the roof. I don't think he could be any more hyped than he is. But, super excited for Topps Baseball. Come in the shop and get yours. We got plenty of it on the way. And then we've got Donruss Elite Basketball coming out the end of the week as well. Fantastic product. 50 rated rookies are going to be included in the set. You're going to get rookies numbered out of $9.99 in every box and things of that nature. So super hot product. And then next week we're going to have Donruss Basketball. We're going to have Leaf Valiant Football. And we're also going to have Immaculate Soccer, which is going to be pretty hot as well for all you soccer fans out there. So come on by the shop, visit with me, Lou, Jacob, Richard, or Samantha, or whoever might be up here. We'll be happy to show you what's new and get you a box of that Topps Baseball. Super, super hot.
And speaking of the Topps Baseball, so they've been doing this for the last few years, but they usually have a parallel set that goes back to an old design. Well, this is the 35th anniversary of Topps 1987.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're very familiar with that design, that wood grain design. Mm-hmm. There are going to be cards out there. Unfortunately, they're only 1 out of 1, but an entire parallel set on wood.
That's incredible.
And people love that set.
Exciting.
And I believe a chrome version will come in the and the silver packs and the hobby and the HTA. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to Topps 2022 Series 1. And just to clarify, you mentioned HTA, and for anyone that doesn't know what HTA, that's Home Team Advantage. It's a type of hobby pack. I'm just going to say this from a collector perspective. They're really big packs, and you get a lot of good stuff. Yeah. So they might be, somewhere between 1.5 to twice the price of a hobby pack, but a hobby box usually has like 24 packs, 14 cards per pack. Home Team Advantage, I think, has 30 or 40 something cards. You get a big fat stack, and they usually have exclusive parallels. I'm telling you guys, right now, there's going to be a lot of what they call paper Wander Francos out there, but I'm telling you, get the any kind of numbered, serial numbered Wander Franco parallel you can.
Heck yeah.
And you're going to be able to find some good stuff out of those Home Team Advantage jumbo box. I'm telling you right now, Wander Franco parallels, get the Mother's Day, get the Father's Day, get the Memorial Day.
Yes.
Like Preston knows what I'm talking about. Like, it's just they do have a ridiculous amount of parallels, but I'm telling you, the way the hobby's going and the influx of new collectors and all the stuff that's been submitted to all these grading companies, you want something serial numbered of big players, and even better for rookie. Baseball has not had a rookie this hot in years.
No, they haven't.
I'm telling you.
Maybe some photo variations are going to be included, stuff like that. It's going to be super exciting.
There are some SP, SSP.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of fun stuff in Topps. All right, thanks, Preston. So we'll be looking forward to Topps Baseball. 2 different types of Donruss basketball, some of that immaculate soccer, Leaf Valiant. So it's going to be a big week, and I'm just thrilled that we're getting finally 21-22 basketball products. Finally. I mean, Hoops came out, and that's great, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
That's right.
There's going to be more stuff than I can handle for sure. So we're going to wrap things up here with us on Cards to Yards. Glossary term of the day, speaking of Wander Franco and Topps 2022 baseball, Rookie Cup.
Yeah.
A Rookie Cup is a symbol that's on Topps cards. A lot of people mistake this with a rookie symbol, but this typically is a second-year card if they've already had a rookie card. It just indicates that they were a part of the all-rookie team. Now, in this case, Wander Franco's first rookie card officially is Topps 2022, and he already got accolades for his rookie season. Now, on his card, it's going to have Rookie Cup and a rookie card symbol. This happened with Yordan Alvarez a couple of seasons back as well. So,
it's rare.
So Rookie Cup, that's what that means. Not necessarily a rookie, but still a desirable card, especially if you get a Rookie Cup of a big second-year player as well. So for Preston, I'm Mark. This has been Cards to Yards. Back to you, Chaz.
This week on From Cards to Yards, man, we got the 2022 Rittenhouse Star Trek Discovery Season 3 cards, man. Hobby boxes again, if you collected them before, include 2 autographs and 1 relic. They offer 6 cards per episode. That's 78 card-based sets that showcase images and plot details from all 13 episodes. You want to look for 1 base parallel per pack, as well as multiple inserts such as costume design, opening credit artwork, die cuts, fold-out booklets, and hand-drawn sketch cards. Plus, there's some other ones, man. Premium hits push the checklist into warp drive. We're talking about autographs. These autographs are falling about 1 per 12 packs overall. These include full bleed inscriptions and dual editions as well. Averaging about 1 per box are the costume relic cards. You guys know this, man. They take a little piece of the costume, put it in a card, man. It's 1 out of 24 packs. So you're looking at about 5 cards per pack, 24 packs per box, and 12 boxes per case. The estimated release date is February 23rd. So if you're interested, man, make sure you put your orders in today. Well, gang, that's all for today's episode. So join us next week. Cards to Yards, brought to you by the Adventure Stadium, and the adventure begins. Again, we're located off 1488 and Woodland Square Boulevard. See you next time.